Welcome to Purely Prabhupada. This is video number 3 of our questions and answers series. Our first question for today: where does Jesus Christ fit into what you are presenting at Purely Prabhupada? Srila Prabhupada always glorified Jesus Christ. He always gave examples of Jesus's full surrender to God, his love of God, and even calling him our guru. Srila Prabhupada wanted foremost that his disciples and followers learn to love Krishna, and he gave that as his highest instruction. This was also the main instruction, or the main request, that Jesus Christ gave to his followers. Just learn to love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. So there's no difference in the teachings, what we're offering at Purely Prabhupada, from the main instructions that Jesus gave. Srila Prabhupada only glorified Jesus Christ, but he found discrepancy with those who claimed to be followers of Jesus and ate flesh foods in spite of being instructed, "Thou shalt not kill." So in our presentation of the subject matter of Jesus Christ at Purely Prabhupada, I can't offer anything that Srila Prabhupada didn't speak or write. However, my own attraction to the mood of Jesus, his teachings, and especially my desire to understand his prayers on behalf of those who wished him ill, and my own yearning to fulfill the purpose in life, to understand what was the meaning of life, led me to the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In my own deep prayer and meditation, I've given insights that might be useful to those of you who've inquired how Jesus Christ and Krishna Consciousness are related. So I'm going to take the license to offer you my professional website, workofanangel.com. I've written some things on the subject matter in my blog section, and you might find especially relevant the entry that I've titled "The Rest of the Story." A lot of people have inquired from us about sex and how does sex fit in with the development of God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. So there are several points here. And the first one is, for someone who can exercise restraint, they naturally become very powerful and determined. Sex indulgence makes one weak in mind and body and actually leads to senility. This is backed by the natural sciences. It takes a month for the male body to recover from one experience. And this is completely in alignment, totally common sense, that sex is meant for procreation at a time when the partner is fertile. Sex is considered a necessity of life, but it has to be according to religious principles, or it becomes a major force to bind us to this material world and to the bodily concept of life. In Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 7, text 11, Krishna says, "I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles." So if used improperly, sex binds us to the material world. But if used properly for the procreation of God-conscious children, Krishna says that he is that sex life. We discussed community development in our introductory series in video 7. We discussed Daivi Varnashram, or communities that were based on the culture of developing God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. For the development of godly community, there has to be godly progeny. For this to happen, there has to be conscious procreation. Unwanted progeny, or children created just out of lust, will generally have less inclination to follow godly principles. Sex is considered by most people to be the greatest pleasure of this world, and it's hard to give up. But the pleasure derived from serving God and his representatives is much greater than the comparatively pale pleasure of sex. By engaging in the principles that give us the highest pleasure, the principles of the development of God consciousness, it becomes much easier to give up the highest pleasure in the material world, the pleasure of sex life. But if we really want the higher pleasure, we also have to make the endeavor to give up the lower pleasure of illicit sex life. And this is our third and last question for today. What about protection of women? What does this really mean? Women by nature are happier and more productive when there's some protection, some material stability. Practically, women are entrusted with bearing and raising blessed progeny, and this naturally puts them in a vulnerable position. The Vedic culture was arranged so that a young girl was naturally taken care of or protected by her father. And as she matured, she was protected by a qualified husband. And later on in life, when that husband took to the renounced order of life, then she was protected by her grown sons. In terms of the modern world, the women and children have to be protected from unscrupulous men. But unfortunately, in the world today, those who are in the position to protect the women and the children are often, unfortunately, unscrupulous themselves. Protection of women is currently misunderstood to mean usury, stifling, abuse. The term has been taken as a license to commit atrocity in the name of culture. It's become a perversion of what was originally intended by God himself to be the highest regard and support for the women of the society. When men act as real men, women are inclined to act as real women, exhibiting the best of womanly qualities. The books offered at purelyprabhupada.com offer the education whereby pious-minded people can become leaders of society. They can learn sense control, and they can learn to offer proper protection to the entire society, the young, the old, the men, the women, the plants, the animals, and even the earth planet herself.
If you are interested in the subject matter of this video and would like to learn more, please visit purelyprabhupada.com. Ancient truths for the upliftment of the modern world.